NPR fancies itself as a nonpartisan news outlet, public information outlet, even says that we should consider all things. All things are considered, yet their history of political bias has shown that there are a number of things they have not considered. They asked us not to consider that the Hunter Biden laptop was real. They dismissed what was always the most probable theory of the COVID lab leak from Wuhan. They interviewed Russia collusion hoaxer Adam Schiff 25 times, who claimed to have a vault of information in his office leading to the impeachment of President Trump, which of course we now know was all fraudulent. I'd like to submit for the record an article by Uri Berlinger. I've been at NPR for 25 years. Here's how we lost America's trust.
Without objection. So
NPR, unfortunately, has lost much of the audience that they used to have, and now they have a very partisan audience because of this. Who do they bring in to fix it? They bring in Ms. Maher, who has a history of commentary of promoting Marxist ideology, including critical theory. Said we should not use the terms boy or girl, has called our president a deranged racist sociopath, and said that our reverence for the truth has become a distraction that is preventing us from finding consensus and getting important things done. And one could look at that and think that maybe, in your view, promoting groupthink is more important than finding the truth. I thought we liked diversity of ideas, especially, and that as an online encyclopedia that you used to manage, activism was more important than accuracy. Now, I had an uncle who used to say that you should never let the truth get in the way of a good story. And while that was humorous when we were talking about weekend fishing expeditions, when we're talking about news and information and encyclopedias and things that are of national importance, I find that very troubling. Now you are here managing NPR, which is in part federally funded. Can we expect that you will bring the same lack of reverence for truth to your management of NPR?
Thank you, Congressman. First of all, I do want to say that NPR acknowledges that we were mistaken in failing to cover the Hunter Biden laptop story more aggressively and sooner. Our current editorial leadership.
Wuhan?
We recognize that we were reporting at the time, but we acknowledge that the new CIA evidence is worthy of coverage and have covered it.
What have you done to clean up the bias before? You mentioned I wasn't there for that. What are you doing to clean up and make sure that we have
Absolutely. Thank you, Congressman. As I mentioned, I came in May. Mr. Berliner published his story 2 weeks into my tenure regarding stories that had happened prior. I wish that I had had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Berliner. I would have loved to have had him engage and come back to us with some suggestions as to what we could do editorially in order to address what he perceived as bias.
Now you've had a long history, including the thing that I mentioned about lack of reverence for truth. And how reverence for truth, you've even talked about the First Amendment kind of getting in the way of what you wanted to get done. And then you're wanting us to believe that NPR is now taking this non-biased approach. I mean, where was the come to Jesus moment for you, I guess, that has turned you around and that we can trust the American taxpayer dollars with your leadership of NPR?
I so appreciate the opportunity to perhaps clarify some things. My talk about truth was really referencing the way that people use truth to refer to belief as opposed to facts. And my encouragement was that we focus on facts. With regards to the First Amendment.
That's not what your comment said. Your comment said that truth was getting in the way of getting things done and that you were prioritizing what you wanted to get done over truth. And that's really unfortunate. I want to go to a different context because you're allowed to have your political opinion. Any news organization should be going after the truth. That's what we want and expect out of news organizations. But certainly a media platform can have whatever opinion it wants in a free society. The question before us today as a committee is whether or not the taxpayers should be forced to pay for this kind of thing. Mr. Gonzalez, I wanted to get your take on this about why the corporate public broadcasting is it still relevant today? I mean, we're in a different context than we were in the 60s where maybe not every home had a television. Now many of them have multiple televisions, and certainly most have a screen in their pocket most times during the day. I have 3 here on my desk. And so it seems like we're in a different context. Like, where could we possibly get the news today or information? Could you speak to the importance or lack thereof of the Corporation of Public Broadcasting in the context of where we are today in society?
Yeah, right. When it came on after the passage of the '67 Public Broadcasting Act in the early '70s, there were only 3 networks. We had Cronkite, Reasoner, and the other guy. And PBS added by a third the number of networks that we had. That's not the case today. And as far as education, which has been diminished, and by the way, I believe that Sesame Street was sold to HBO 10 years ago. But as far as the educational value, we have an unending stream of educational content online. I could reel off a number of websites that people can access, YouTube channels where kids of all income levels can access educational content. So but basically, as I said in my testimony, it goes back to the basic unfairness that conservatives for 50 years have been saying, but you're completely biased. And they have the audacity to say, oh, no, we're not. And you have to just pay us. And it's just, that is the basic.
The gentleman's time has expired.